Well, hello there. Welcome to 2026. Or so they say, right? Hope you had a good New Year celebration, end of year celebration, if that's what it is, right? We all know about the calendars. And when is New Year's Day really? Is it March 24th or April 1st? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But this is where we are, right? In a strange realm, and we don't even know what time it is.
They are not who you think they are. They aren't the 13 bloodline families. They aren't the banking families. They're not even Vanguard or BlackRock. They are the fallen angels. They're here. They're amongst us. They always have been. They have just gotten smarter, where we've gotten dumber. Where they used to force us to worship them. This is King Akhenaten. Well, now they just deceive us into willingly worshiping them. And yeah, you might not worship this guy, but I guarantee you some have worshipped her and probably still think she's dead. That's Greek god Artemis, also known as Diana, who she was supposedly named after. And I guarantee you some of you have probably worshipped that guy, and that's a 3,000-year-old statue of another king. And speaking of kings, that's King David. But they don't live like you and I. Their laws of aging and not shapeshifting don't apply to them because they're fallen angels. They're spiritual beings trapped here in earth for wanting to be worshipped like the Most High. Lucifer, the son of the morning, wanted to ascend higher than the Most High. And well, he was banished and convinced a whole lot of his angels to come down here with him. Angels that the Book of Enoch describes as stars, especially fallen ones. You know, stars like the ones that a lot of us worship. You know who the Statue of Liberty actually is, right? Right? And you've seen what the Statue of Liberty's face once looked like. Funny how Lucifer wanted to be worshipped like God. And there's a 300-foot statue of Lucifer in the NYC. And a whole lot of people worshipped that guy. You know who else a whole lot of people worship? Yeah, that guy. AKA Lucifer. You see, they've gotten smarter. Where they used to force us to worship them, now they've deceived us into willingly worshiping them. And they shapeshift through the generations. King David, Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, barren. What a coincidence that that statue would have his exact marks. They're shapeshifters. Age doesn't apply to them. But of course, all this for entertainment purposes. I'm sure President McKinley looks exactly like someone a lot of us have worshipped in the movie Dumb and Dumber, just from coincidence. It's coincidence they look so much alike and have that exact mark right there on both of their faces. I'm a satire account. I don't really care at all about liberating humanity from the enslavement we've been under for millennia. And I'm sure this president, looking exactly like Alec Baldwin in the Book of Enoch, referring to stars as fallen angels, is again just a coincidence. Just like it's a coincidence that Larry Hagman has a star. And Larry Hagman has the exact same butt chin and chin scar and lips and nose and forehead wrinkles and hairline as Tom Brady, who is referred to as a star, a star, a star, is in a card with a star, is holding a star. When did I mention that Larry Hagman, who has a star, also has the exact same 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 exact marks as Tom Brady, referred to as a star, right in the exact same spot on their cheek. Like I said, all for entertainment purposes. I don't really think they is the fallen angels who are here deceiving humanity into worshiping them over the Most High. No, that's ridiculous. I live on a globe. I'm evolved from a monkey, and I exploded out of a big bang out of nothingness. Entertainment only, people.
Yes, well, the fallen angels. I don't think I've done a fittest flat earther video before, but it's interesting. He does definitely get some interesting comparisons with his photos. And well, you let me know in the comments, what do you think's going on? I mean, I've definitely put it out there that I think we've been invaded, by these people the people of El, the Elites. The bit that I don't get into so much is the whole religion bit. I think that's just a story that's been put over the top, to bring God and Jesus and all this you must worship me kind of stuff. The God is outside of you is really what religion, the main message is, right? God is outside of you and you need to do things to appease him so you can go to heaven and not hell. But what do you think is going on? Are these people, these Elites, are they long-lived like vampires? Are they like what's going on? Are they clones? I wonder if they're clones and the clone base only has a certain amount of DNA that it can use, and so you get these similar people popping out all the time. We've all seen the doppelganger photos from the past, like Eddie Murphy and Jay-Z and all these people who look like people from the past, right? 100 years ago. What's going on there? It's a big conundrum, right? But there is definitely something going on. So please let me know what your thoughts on it are. And of course, the stars. I've always wondered why we draw stars at the five-pointed star. Because when you look up into the sky and see a star, it doesn't look like a five-pointed star. None of them look anything like that. So where's that form come from? Because it's often used as the shape of man, right? The 5 points, the head, two arms, two legs. Is it a symbol of them basically inhabiting a physical body, right? Are they from outside the realm, interdimensional, I guess you would call it? I think when we're talking interdimensional, we're talking about different frequencies. I tend to think everything is here in this space, just on different levels of frequency. And depending on our frequency, we can or cannot see, a frequency up or down. And of course, Hollywood. Magic wands were made of the wood of the holly tree, the Hollywood. That's why when they make a movie, it's a cast of actors. And then on the news, right, they broadcast their message out north, east, west, and south. I don't know, ramblings, but please let me know your thoughts.
If you still don't think that what you watch on TV has any influence on you, this video is for you because I'm about to blow your mind. So the number one streaming platform is Netflix, right? So the original CEO of Netflix is Mark Randolph. Mark Randolph's great uncle is Edward Bernays. And who is Edward Bernays? Oh, just the inventor of propaganda. He knew that he could manipulate the public to do what he wanted them to do by saying certain things. And he was also the chairman of what is now public relations. For example, he told women that smoking was a form of feminist liberation in order to get them to buy more cigarettes, which worked. And pause to read this paragraph from his book on propaganda. I would read it out loud, but I'm on thin ice with TikTok.
Okay, so it says here the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Oh my gosh, that's an oxymoron, isn't it? Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government which is the true ruling power of our country. I think we've all worked that one out. We are governed, our minds are moulded, our tastes formed, and our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of. It is they who pull the wires that control the public mind.
Now, if you still think that is just some wild coincidence and Netflix is not trying to manipulate us in any way, get this. Edward Bernays, his uncle, is Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis. And you don't think they know what they're doing? His great-uncle is Edward Bernays, a nephew of Sigmund Freud and a man often called the father of public relations.
The father of public relations. How to relate to the public. Mind control them. Clearly they want us to be slaves. They treat us like slaves. We know this. We see this everywhere. But it's just a bit more proof, right, that this is all bloodlines. This is all people that are connected, interconnected through blood, through families, right? Sigmund Freud to Edward Bernays to Netflix. And of course, Netflix, it's a net to catch you, just like the internet or the World Wide Web, right? Like they tell us, right? They tell us in their titles. But this is the thing. Propaganda was brought in to control us. It's in the start it was the news and it was media, and now it's everything. So it's Netflix, right? All the things that go on Netflix are there to implant subconscious thoughts into your mind. But of course, they only work if you don't see them, if you're not paying attention. Once you know what's going on, and you've probably all had this experience where you watch a film and you can't get in and believe the story and really get into it, right? Because you can see through all the propaganda, you can see all the symbolism, you can see what they're trying to say. So once you get to that point, it becomes irrelevant. They can no longer program you. So I hope that you're at that point now. And if you're not, just understand that it's all a big show. It's all contrived. It's all been written out and planned for decades and decades, if not centuries, right? And it's all to make us more controllable.
Not a single one of you wants to hear this, but once you become conscious, life stops being fun and it becomes a curse. Try watching a movie. You can't. Your brain instantly detects the propaganda, the messaging, the psychological fingerprints of whoever funded the script. Try going to a party and everyone looks like an NPC running outdated software. It's a circus of insecurity held together by dopamine withdrawals and fake confidence. Or try going on a date. You don't see her, you see the father wound, the validation addiction, the mask she learned to wear. Consciousness does not set you free. It isolates you. It disconnects you from the clown world everyone else still is pretending is normal. So once you see the code behind the simulation, you can't unsee it ever again. All that's left is silence and the cold comfort of knowing it's the only thing that isn't lying to you.
Well, that's a bit of a depressing take on it, isn't it? I mean, he said it right in there. Like when you wake up, become more aware of what's going on, you see that it's a clown world. Now, who wants to participate in the clown world once they can see it? I mean, that to me is a good thing. I understand that it's a bad thing if you're the only one around doing it and none of your friends or people you associate with can see it. That can definitely be isolating. But this is what we need to do is get out and connect with people. Leave a comment. Let people know what state you're in. Try and connect with people. Of course, I do a lot of work with Tartari Australia, the podcast. There's a link below to check that out. We're doing 6 live shows in Australia this year. We're doing 4 12-hour live streams on the solstices and equinoxes. We've got a newspaper out as well. So we're trying to do all these things to connect people because that's really what we need at the moment, right? Is this connection. Otherwise, it can feel like waking up is a bad thing, but to me, it's a good thing. I'm extremely glad that I don't believe the hype, that I don't, believe that governments are the good people and all we need to do is vote in a good president. I mean, that would be frustrating, right? Because it never happens. It's clearly all a show, clearly. But let me know and I don't like the term waking up either. I don't like categories, but becoming more aware. Since you've become more aware, has your life got better or worse?
We were never supposed to eat 3 meals a day. Did you know that? Well, here's what I found in real human history. People ate when food was available, not because the clock said it was time. Some days they feasted, other days nothing. It wasn't until the late 1800s that breakfast, lunch, and dinner became a rule pushed by industrial work schedules and food companies that made billions keeping you eating all day. Cereal companies told you breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Snack companies taught you to graze from morning to night. That became the norm, but constant eating keeps your body in storage mode, locking away fat and never switching on repair systems like autophagy, your body's natural way of clearing out damaged cells. Fasting, whether you're skipping breakfast or going 24 hours, gives your body a break from digesting so it can repair, reset, and burn stored energy. Our ancestors didn't need gyms or weight loss programs. They had fasting built into their lifestyle. We traded that for a system that gives you food you don't need. At times you're not even hungry. Why are you eating? Let me answer that. Because you've been programmed that it's time to eat. And not to mention constant eating slowly breaks you down or kills you. Fasting isn't a trend. Eating nonstop is. Your body was designed for feast and repair, not breakfast, lunch, and disease.
Fasting, have you done it? Do you do it regularly? My first fast was, gosh, it's probably almost 2 years ago now, and I did 19 days. So I do definitely believe in fasting. I definitely believe that we eat too much. The whole 3 meals a day was introduced. Obviously, it's hammered into us at school. You know, we have to have breakfast before we go. We have to have our packed lunch, and we come home, we have dinner, plus the snacks, right? We have recess, we have snacks when we get home. You know, this whole food thing, it's pushed. And like you said, it's a multi-billion dollar industry, right? Run by those same people who run, you know, the medical industry and the military and the money and all of these control systems. So it's clearly a control system. And look at the world, you know, and I've said it before, right? Three-quarters of the word diet is die. There might be something in that for all of us, right? But the whole diet industry too. Like it's been out since what, the 50s? Definitely big, got big in the 70s. So that's 50 years ago. And what's happened? People are still getting bigger and sicker. So there's something we're missing, and I really do believe that we're just eating too much. You know, I've tried every diet there is. I've been vegan, I've been vegetarian, I've been carnivore, I've been keto, I've been, just the standard diet, right? The sad diet, the standard Australian diet. And none of them have made much difference to the way I feel, to, the weight I'm carrying. So this year, I'm definitely going to start fasting more. I'm thinking I'm going to do 1 meal a day, maybe 1 meal every 2 days, and then, fast for 2 or 3 days every week or two and see how I feel. But let me know because the way to get healthy fast might just be to fast.
Because radium and sulfur look exactly the same. While they're fearing you away from radium, they're not telling you that radium water just contains a lot of sulfur. And that's actually what was giving the healing properties of the hot springs. So they would tell you, don't go drinking out of that radium glassware and don't put those radium pads on your back. What's funny is radium is connected to the UV spectrum, the sun spectrum. And what people used to do is they would take radium, they would infuse it into their glass, and then they would drink it. Now you always hear about the radium girls. That's that common story. Radium girls. You gotta stay away from that radium. Well, the ladies were licking paint. They were licking paint for 10 hours a day. Anybody who's licking paint is going to get ill. It's common sense. Like, it's nuts. Somebody said there's radium hot springs nearby here in British Columbia, Canada. Those radium springs are all over the place. The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, JFK. All the presidents used to go to the radium springs. So when they tell you to stay away from radium, it's on purpose. Same with radium stones. People used to hold radium stones in their hands to heal inflammation and pain. It's a radioactive material. You are a radioactive being. So that's why they told you to stay away from radium. So don't go around looking at that one.
You're radioactive, right? Um, Yeah, I guess we are. I mean, radium is radiate, right? It radiates frequency, energy, something, right, that's good for us. We've got the radium theory that all fireplaces used to run on radium, right? Because they would radiate the energy back out. So in the past, you saw the green cup there, the radium cups were green. They had, I think it was cobalt, was blue glassware, but all their colored glassware was colored because it had certain elements infused into it. Now we just think that colored glassware is just for looks, right? But it wasn't in the past. And of course, they're telling us not to consume it, to stay away from it. So maybe we need to do the opposite, right? Because it's always the same. Whatever they tell us is good for us ends up being bad for us. Whatever they tell us is bad for us ends up being good for us. And thank you guys for spending some time with me. Hope you're enjoying the show. Please do give me a like, make sure you're subscribed, and leave me a comment.
This is the most concerning thing happening in Australia right now. Victorian schools now have a secret gender transition program, and the most concerning part is schools don't need parental consent or medical oversight to do it. The policy gives governments and schools the power to help your children reshape their identity, change school records associated to gender and names, allow your children to use opposite bathrooms based on their gender identity that they choose rather than biological sex. And the most concerning part is all this is without consent from parents. I mean, teachers even have the right to secrecy, so you wouldn't even know what is happening with your child. Now, in order for teachers and staff to hide this from parents, the child must be considered a mature minor. But here is the issue. The policy is so vague that the teachers are given the decision on what is considered a mature minor. So this means no medical assessment, no age limits, and if the staff think your child is mature enough, the school has a right to hide all this from you and you have no say as a parent. Now, this teaches your child that it's okay to hide major things from you and destroys family relationships and trust, which is crucial for children. It also teaches kids delusion and removes the parents from early intervention opportunities. So if it's impossible for a child to turn from a biological male to a female, why is the government encouraging kids to believe this? I mean, this policy is so harmful for children, not to mention how hard it is to reverse in later years. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe this should end or not?
Yes, I believe it should end. I believe it should have never started. That's disgraceful. But this is the thing, and I guess this gets back to the law, right? The legal versus the law, LORE, right? The law of man, the folklore. We all know the story, right? When you give birth through the waters, they create the straw man, which is the placenta, and they create the birth certificate, right? They register you as a dead entity in their system, the child as a dead entity. And basically, when you register something, you registered, right? Regis, it's interred to the king. You give it to the state or to the king, to the ruler. That's your child, right? And of course, no one does this on purpose. No one knows this is going on, but this is how they run the legal system. So in their system, they fully believe that they own your child, and that's why they can do this stuff. So this is why learning the law is so important, especially if you've got young children, right? And get them out of the system too. Like affidavit the government and tell them that you and your children are living men and women. You are not persons. You are not citizens. You are not lost at sea, which is how they look at you until you come back and say, no, I'm not. I'm here and I'm alive. That's the way out, to stand in your power as the man or woman that you truly are and understand that no other man or woman or person or civilian has any power over you or the right to control you, right? Because when you look at the list of power, which basically starts with the creator, and then men and women, right? And then way down the list, you get corporations and then governments and all this kind of stuff, that they are way underneath us. They are not above us. And we need to claim that back so that we can stop being ruled by these psychos.
Happy New Year's, everybody. I just popped out for work for a minute here in Melbourne City, and I wanted to play a game with you. It's called Spot the Westerner. Let's see if you can find any. It doesn't look like a Western nation at all, isn't it? Yeah, here we are. This is the reality of Melbourne CBD on New Year's Eve. And this is an issue, and a big one, because no matter how individually they might be good people, but it is a problem at the collective level. It erodes our cultural identity and cohesion. Multiculturalism is a failed concept. When you start seeing demographic change and clusters of groups of people that are supposed to be a minority, and all in a sudden we are the minority, it is a problem, and a big one. All we need to do is looking at Europe, what is happening there in Germany and the UK and France and Italy. It is terrifying, and we must oppose it with everything we got. Authorized by Warren Pickering, 8 Prompt Lane, Pakenham.
Well, yeah, save me your thoughts on that one. This is a big issue at the moment, big topic. This is happening all throughout Europe, America, Canada, all the Western countries, right? And that was, again, that was Melbourne, Victoria, which is the most communist state of Australia, shall we say. It seems to be lost. Hello to everyone in Melbourne. Get out. Get out of that state. But it's happening everywhere. And of course, everyone's going to say, she had an accent. Yes, that lady had an accent, but she was clearly a Westerner. And when we say Westerner, like that's all of Europe. That they all speak different languages. They all have accents, yet they all have the same basic cultural beliefs. And this is what we're talking about. And again, this has got nothing to do with being, I don't even know if I can say this word, but Ray, who had a cyst on his leg. It's nothing to do with that. It's actually the opposite in my point of view, because I love traveling. I love culture. I love different, traditions and different peoples. And if everyone just moves into each other's country, then we just get a grey world. We lose that. We lose all the differences that make different cultures unique, right? We just get this grey blur. And if you really want to know what's going on, look into the, people who do not intermix. It's always the same people.
If you're a threat, you're out. Why is it so safe? Because extremists are not allowed to wave the Al-Qaeda flag in the UAE. You can't do that in Saudi Arabia. You can't open up a Facebook page in Saudi Arabia and support the Muslim Brotherhood. And you can call it democracy and free speech, and people have the right to express their views. With all due respect, if your view is to behead me, I will make sure you do not exist in the same society that I exist in. It's as simple as that. This is Muslim logic. This is the logic of the rulers in the Middle East.
Muslim countries, most of them, are better at this than anyone, yet Western countries feel like they know better.
Well, I mean, yes, yes, he's correct. And it's interesting. This is how a lot of Muslim countries roll, right? This is what they do. They don't allow this integration to happen because they know that they'll lose their culture, and it will just basically send the country down as far as values and standards, and that means that crime goes up. But when she said that Western nations don't understand it, I would say that's not true. I think it's all propaganda, right? Thanks, Edward Bernays. And it's all our governments, our paid puppets pushing this stuff and making the decisions and implementing it. Clearly there's a vast body of people in all these countries who don't want it. Probably the majority, I would think. Don't have stats on that because obviously that would be illegal and hurty words, right? We can't have that in, such a accepting multicultural society. But again, let me know your thoughts. Like, do you find it interesting that we are taught that this is normal and multiculturalism is great and it's a way to build a better country, but all the countries where these people are coming from, they would not let us in to go in and change their rules and to speak badly about them and to try and implement our laws. It just would not be tolerated.
I shot LiDAR AI photon protein fiber beams at Devil's Tower, and you're not going to believe what is inside it, it changes the whole history of not only America, but the world. Devil's Tower is in Wyoming, and it's a structural edge that's mysterious because I'm an Eagle Scout, and if you look at the rock formation edge, I don't think it's solid, and a lot of people are like, it's solid all the way through. So I, with my friend Dr. Remy Demi, shot the world's best, this is it right here, Photon Protein Fiber Beam AI LiDAR technology directly at Devil's Tower, and this is the imagery I came back. There are chambers inside the base of Devil's Tower with, you can see a passageway right there. Here's another angle of it, of another view, and it's just insane. It's blowing our minds. We don't know if this is a Native American chamber, if it's an alien chamber, so now we're trying to get access to that passageway. We know the door is amongst about right there, but we are trying to get permits so we can dig down and access the door and go into the chambers. I'll keep you updated. Follow me and I'll keep you updated on what we find. We hope to get the permits next week. And I'm just super excited to go in and see what it's all about.
Well, I hope they get the permits next week as well, but based on everything I know and all of history, I'd say they probably won't. You know, especially if this is a place that the elites know about. They don't want this stuff revealed. And this is happening everywhere. All these underground bases and tunnels and the stuff under Egypt, it's all been coming out over the last, well, 4 or 5 years, really, right? That there's basically, it sounds like there's a whole other civilization underground. And I've always wondered why it's been called Devil's Tower. You know, what did the original inhabitants of that area who named it, what did they know? Were people coming out? Were beings, entities coming out that were devilish? Who knows? But it could be, right, because there's a lot of evidence that there is a lot of nefarious stuff going on underground in these underground chambers, cities, domes, tunnels, the whole lot. And I think we're just scratching the surface. You know, there's theories, right? Are they doing cloning down there? Are they growing all our food down there under lights? Because where's all the food coming from? Is there basically a whole nother civilization under our feet that is controlling us? Please let me know your thoughts.
The name of the Egyptian sun god, which we've shown you before, but the sun god name is Amen. Amen Ra. Okay, that was the name of the Egyptian sun god. That's surprising to a lot of folks who, you know, get into prayer all the time and they're always using the word Amen at the end of their prayers. Well, that's the name of the Egyptian sun god, Amen. Now, in Revelation 3:14, let me mark that for you. Revelation 3:14, Jesus Christ calls himself the Amen. That means the sun god. Now that is interesting. See, we can't change that. We can't say, well, it didn't happen, because it did. Revelation 3:14, Jesus calls himself the Amen, and the Amen is the name of the Egyptian sun god, or the Egyptian god of light. Now, here then, if we identify Jesus with the sun, let me show you something else that's interesting. Come on back here, Frank. In Matthew 9:15, Jesus is referred to as the bridegroom. He's referred to as the bridegroom. So now let's go back here. We have three things that we're looking at. First of all, Jesus is called the bridegroom, and he calls himself Amen, which is the Egyptian sun god. He refers to himself as the light of the world, the Son of God. And I'll come back and I want to show you something very interesting in Psalm 19, why we have to really look very carefully at the zodiac. In Psalm 19 verse 4, it says, in them, meaning the heavens, the stars, he has set a tabernacle for the sun, S-U-N. Now listen to this next one, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber. So here Jesus identifies himself as the Amen, which is the Egyptian sun god. He calls himself the bridegroom, which is in Matthew 25:1 and Matthew 9:15. And here in Psalm 19:4, it says that the sun, in that which comes through the zodiac, comes out of the tabernacle as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber. So there then we have to look at the possibility, do we have the continuation of the ancient sun worship? You know, when I got into this and saw Jesus calls himself the Amen, I said, wow. But that would mean that they brought the sun god out of Egypt, and we should look at the sun god of Egypt. I said, well, that doesn't make any sense, until I saw in Matthew 2:15, it said that Mary and Joseph took the child Jesus to Egypt so as to fulfill the prophecy, out of Egypt have I called my son. So now again then, we see that it's all, at least according to the Bible, written in the stars and in the planets, and something that we've really got to look at.
All right. Thank you, Bill. That was Bill Donahue, not Phil, not the talk show host. Bill Donahue, and he does some great stuff. I first found him like over 10 years ago. I was watching all his stuff, and it's very interesting. And did you know, Amen, right? Amen Ra. Ra is also ray, like the sun's rays. And then when he was saying the bridegroom is coming out of the sun, that's a ray, right? So Jesus calls himself the Amen, and basically the ray, the rays of light, the light of the world. But to me, he calls himself the Son of God. And all they've done is change a U to an O. And they've got us believing, well, not me, but millions of people believing that that means he's the offspring of what, the Creator. Now, for that to be true, you have to believe that the Creator, God, is a being, is a dude who can inseminate someone, right? Like he had an affair with Mary, who was married. And then in the Ten Commandments, he says, don't have affairs. I mean, none of this makes any sense at all. But, I worked it out a long time ago that Jesus is the Son of God. He's the Son. It's Son worship. It clearly is. And, clearly the Son is good, right? As far as we know, it gives off at least the electromagnetic frequencies that make everything grow, right? Is the sun hot? Is that where heat comes from? Who knows, right? It's a bit of an edge. That's another interesting topic, right? But he clearly calls himself the Son of God, right? To me, it's as plain as that. It's sun worship being brought forward, just, repackaged for a new system of control after the last reset, right? Rome never fell. It just turned into the Roman Catholic Church. And there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. Another romp through the strange realm we find ourselves in, the first one for 2026. So I really do hope that you have an amazing year. I really do feel that 2026 is going to be a big one. We're going to see a lot of change, and that change is basically going to be the system collapsing because so many people are seeing through it now. It's hard not to, right? Yes, there are those who will never see it and never wake up, but all we need is around 7%, right, of all people, whatever the population is, to enact actual change, right? This has been proven through meditation, people meditating in cities and all this, lots of different things, right? There's the 100 monkey story that happened off the coast of Japan. So we don't need to change everyone. We just need 7% that know what's going on and are focused on building a better world, a better 3D world, getting out of the 2D, and we can change everything. So I hope you have an amazing 2026. Please do give me a like. If you're not subscribed, what the bloody hell are you doing? Hit subscribe, hit the bell, share this video around, and most importantly, stay awesome because you are. And I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.
What happened? And then what? Oh my gosh. Oh no.
It's not a jacuzzi. Come on out.
Only problem I have a problem with is you. That's the only problem I have a problem with.
I said no. Hey, I said no. No.
And so you ready to spread some love?
Did Daddy go to work? And then what did Thor do? What did you do all day?
Be quiet. Be quiet.
Ah! Are you gonna bite me?
Out.
No, you don't get to yell that motherfucking loud and you did that shit. You did it! You did it!
How do you feel about this project we got going on, huh?
What'd you say?
And then what happened?
Tell her.